Okay, this is probably one of the most important story review videos because of its applications that I've done so far. I mean, this has nothing to do with tactical or anything, which those are very important too, don't get me wrong, but this is about preventing things that will end up eliminating a huge majority of the population because they don't know how to carry out simple sanitary procedures when it comes to waste removal. And that includes human waste and garbage. And I'm going to talk about the prevention of such things, and I'm going to base this entirely off my Army experience overseas, because we lived in a third world country, and oftentimes we lived among the people of that third world country, and of course I am talking about Iraq. So, the main diseases I'm going to talk about preventing here is cholera, dysentery, and typhus. Now, cholera and dysentery come from waste, like feces and things like that, getting into the water table or getting into the food supply. And they have similar symptoms, but they're different diseases. Now, typhus comes from poor hygienic practices, which can cause lice to transmit that disease, like louse-borne disease, and that can come directly from poor trash disposal, because when you have trash accumulate, rodents are attracted, and when rodents are attracted, they bring lice with them, and lice spread typhus to people. So, when I was overseas, we had short and longer term methods of both human waste removal and disposal, and also garbage disposal. Now, in the stories, you would have had the partisans and the invaders both using such means when out at their combat outposts on the invader side, or as the partisans in their base camps. Now, burn pits and things like that can vary in size depending on a group and a group's security needs, because you don't want to have a whole bunch of trash burning giving off a ginormous smoke signal to the enemy. So what you might have is you might have a bunch of tiny burn pits spread out everywhere where tiny amounts of trash can be burned, and then when you're done with the burn pit, you put a layer of dirt over it. Or it can be a huge burn pit, and when the partisans were semi-nomadic, they could burn all their trash as they were pulling out of one semi-nomadic area before going to another. And as I said before, there was a certain infrastructure that was pre-set up in the semi-nomadic campsites. Like burn pits would be reused, but reburied as each layer of garbage was burned, and they would leave to go to the next spot. Now, when they were relatively stationary in Broken Bow, they might have had multiple small-scale burn pits, so as to conceal their smoke signature given off for security reasons. And because you had a bunch of people in one area, they had built outhouses, and what they would do, what we did in Iraq, was we burned our feces. Yes, we put fuel in these little things, and we burned it, and you stir it. I know it sounds disgusting, but that was like the worst sort of detail people could get picked and put on, is the feces burning detail, where you stir the feces as it burns, and it was a nasty sort of a stench, but you know, it had to be done because it was the only sanitary way to remove waste. And when it was done being burned, you slide this thing back under the outhouse here, because there'd be a little opening on the side of it, and you slide it in. Now, that's more of like a permanent or semi-permanent sort of way. Now, when we were out at our firing point, when we were actually doing our real artillery job, which was almost, never compared to how much we got used as 11 Bravos. We were really 13 Bravos, which is field artillery, but more often than not, we were used like 11 Bravos, which is infantry. We were used like mechanized infantry in our MRAPs. When we weren't doing that, and we were out at our firing point in the field, out in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, we used ammo cans. We used ammo cans and we used packaging, the wooden packaging from some of the shells. There are our artillery shells. And what we did was we put an ammo can down and put a wooden lid. Like we crafted our own little wooden lids. I mean, you can get creative like that when you make a temporary field toilet. And another means is you can literally go to the bathroom in a plastic bag. Now they do make human waste bags specifically for use of human waste, but you can use a shopping bag. They work just as well. Now, if you're going to go with the shopping bag option, you need to double bag it because you do not want that smell or the waste itself coming out of a hole you might have in the bag, and you need to inspect those bags very carefully. Now, what you can do with that is if you have it bagged up, you can burn it in the burn pit with the rest of the garbage. And most garbage is flammable unless it's like aluminum cans or things like that. But even in that case, as long as it's burned up, you're pretty much going to eliminate everything that rodents are attracted to that bring all those louse-borne diseases. And plus the feces, it basically kills everything as far as human waste so that it doesn't get into the water table or into the food supply and give people things like cholera and dysentery. So, yeah, those are the three really big ones that people should want to eliminate because those three things alone will kill millions of people when the power grid is gone and people are not properly disposing of garbage or human filth, waste. So, and by that I mean feces primarily. Urine, yeah, I mean, that's not as bad. I mean, you can kind of urinate anywhere you want to, generally speaking, but mostly the feces you really need to burn. You need to dispose of it properly, or else it will get into the water, it will get into the food, you will get sick, and it will kill you, potentially. And same with typhus. You need to burn your garbage and burn it well. I mean, make sure it's burned. And then when you're done burning your trash in your burn pit, like we did overseas, then you cover it up with a layer of dirt. And then you might start another layer of garbage, burn it, cover that with dirt. I mean, that's how you would do it in a grid down, comms down, net down, telecom down, everything down, no trash services down. You will literally have to properly sanitize your living area by properly eliminating and disposing of garbage and human waste, and that is how you do it. And again, these are more of like a temporary thing that we did out in the field, these ammo can toilets, because we had plenty of ammo cans that were empty, and we had also, the wood that we could fashion our own little toilet seats out of, and also there was the plastic bag option, and again, those go in the burn pit with the other trash. Those are just some of the ways that you can properly dispose of waste, and they're all according to need, whether it's permanent, semi-permanent, like this is more of a permanent, semi-permanent, or just a non-permanent means like these ammo cans or this plastic bag are, And then the burn pit, you can do various different sizes of burn pit depending on how many people you have in a specific group and what the needs of the group are as far as security goes, because again, you don't want to give off too much of a smoke signature. You might have to do a whole bunch of little burn pits. It just all depends. But those are generally how we got rid of waste and trash while I was overseas, and that was the way to do it because that kept the environment clean, relatively speaking, and it kept, it kept disease at bay. We didn't get sick because we knew how to properly dispose of waste and trash. No rodents ever were attracted because we burned all our garbage, and nobody got cholera or typhus or dysentery because, again, we properly disposed of human waste and trash. So, the partisans and both the invaders and the partisans, would have been doing all these things in combat outposts and partisan base camps. Now on the FOBs, the Chi-Coms would have had plumbing because they had generators and they had ways to pump water and things like that, just like we did overseas in Iraq and I'm sure in Afghanistan. I never went there, but I know it was all set up the same way. So that is how it will look in a third world war zone. Now, sanitation is very, very important. Like I said, this is probably one of my most important videos I've ever made, because a lot of people will die from diseases that are easily preventable with proper sanitary measures. So may Yeshua bless you all and keep you. This will be going in my story review and dissection playlist.